Chair Liebelt, we're ready when you are.
Yes. Reminds me of Seinfeld. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Public Arts Commission meeting today. I will now call the Public Arts meeting to order.
And we are ready for a roll call.
May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Mojica.
Present.
Commissioner Marks.
Present.
Commissioner Strouder.
Present.
Vice Chair Travis.
Present.
Chair Liebelt.
Yes, I'm here. The next section is regarding public comments, which we greatly welcome. This is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on any items not appearing on the regular agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the Public Arts Commission may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The chair may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or may request a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comments at this time?
Chair Liebelt, we do not have any request to speak forms, no attendees in the meeting. And really quick, before we move on to the agenda, we did not have any finalization on our agenda. We did skip over that part.
Great.
We're ready for the agenda now.
Thank you so much. So let's move on to the agenda. Let's see here. The item A is we're discussing the Ocotillo Bench project, establish any additional budget needs, and finalize details for the painting and ribbon cutting events. So I guess that would be Commissioner Mojica and myself. It's going along pretty well. I spoke to Edgar from the Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. They are definitely scheduling to do a ribbon cutting for us. They're bringing the ribbon, they're bringing the scissors. They were just asking about what council members would be present. He was asking if there was like an agenda, like a schedule, so they knew when and how that would work. And yes, Commissioner Mojica and I will get together and we'll put that together. I'm actually excited. We did our meeting with the artists on Thursday. I'm going to say the majority, at least over half of them showed up in person. Many more showed up on the Zoom call. I think there's only a couple that were not able to participate. Everybody's excited. We were excited to meet them. We asked very good questions. A lot of the artists who've done this before were very, very helpful in giving everybody else suggestions on the type of paints, how to prepare hydration-wise, shade-wise, be there early. Overall, again, you guys, this has been a long time in coming, and it's just really exciting to see actual faces behind, these amazing images they presented, and to be able to have this happen. So this weekend, I think all of us on this commission are going to take turns being out there to support them. I plan on being there all 3 days, very early on that very first Friday. I think, Ann, we've talked about we're going to lay out, are we going to actually print out the numbers or anything to like mark each bench specifically along there, have a map with their names and designations, but your mic's not on?
I thought you had sent that.
So we can have those printed for you with the name and the number so that you can kind of place them with the benches so that that the artists aren't interpreting where they're supposed to be on the map versus where you really want them to be. We're working on, and I met with Adam today from our special events department. So the park hours, I did clarify from what I originally spoke to, the park hours are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So those are our normal business hours for the park when the bathrooms will be open and, that we would want to have the artists, try to not work outside of those hours to be there. So for Friday morning, Adam is going to pick up and deliver the ice chest with ice and hook up the hose. So there is a hose that'll be available. We just need to arrange, and I'm working with Adam and I'm going to be working with Deanna to arrange to have that locked back up in the concession building at night so that it doesn't walk away, and that it's that we have staff available to bring those out every morning and can lock them up in the evenings. So Adam's going to be taking that on Friday morning, and Saturday morning I will work with Public Works to get that hooked up, and the same for Sunday. So I think those details are good. We got some clarification from Deanna. I'm working on some final details to be able to push out with just final information about what to do with the water. The questions about the hours and there was a question about whether the sprinklers will still be on, and the sprinklers will be still going. But I spoke to Deanna this morning, and she didn't think that it would affect the art that's near there. But for those artists that have benches that may be adjacent to that, we might, ask them to, cover them or something at night just in case there's a windy, it gets windy. But they will be on during this period of time to keep the grass that's there still alive before they start the reseeding. When we do have the the ribbon cutting, we will still have the issue of the not being able to go on the grass because they will have reseeded, and the grass will still be just starting to come in at that point. So any of the events that we do at the park for the ribbon cutting will still be on the pathways and any of the concreted areas, but just won't allow for any kind of activity or play time on the grass.
Is the grass going to actually be, do they rope it off?
They will have signage. I don't know if they'll actually rope off that's a lot of area to rope off, but I think they'll just have signage throughout the perimeter of the grass areas, encouraging people not to go on them.
Yeah. It's funny because I forgot about that people won't be able to utilize the lawns. I also appreciated Deanna's note about that she would provide caution tape and wet paint signs so as they're painting the benches. Again, being out there the first day, encouraging people, if it gets too hot, they do have 3 days. And at least every one of those 3 mornings, it's like in the 70s, like low to mid 70s. So up until a certain point, I'm going to encourage people not to push themselves, like they do have time. Monday is actually a holiday too. So again, it's like Indigenous People Day, I think. So
City offices are open that day.
What's that?
City offices are open that day. We don't close.
They're still open, but again, they have time to do it, so I'd rather have them take care of themselves.
That is why in the resubmittal, I did include information about heat illness prevention, so that, if individuals aren't really accustomed to being outside for long periods of times, that they're aware of any signs of distress, so that they can take a break, get cool, or if need be, we call for assistance. I have notified our police department and asked them to do additional patrols over the weekend, and they've agreed to do that. I also alerted the fire department, again, because we're going to have a lot of people out in the park. It's going to be a hot weekend, so that they were aware just in case they got calls for service. And fire also said that they would come through over the weekend just to check in. And then Deanna as well will be coming through at different points during the weekend to check in just to see if there's any support needed.
Great. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So again, we also have to decide what expenses that we're going to incur. And Don, were you able to talk to the gentleman with the food truck? And he's okay with the hour change from like 3 to 5?
He's totally confirmed as of today.
Okay.
And he hooked up with Adam from the city.
Don, could you please speak into the microphone just so we can make sure everyone's hearing?
What's he called? The Cruising Kitchen is the name of the food truck, and he's confirmed as of today. He also got his permits, I think, worked out, and so that's all good.
Yeah, so Adam went and paid the permit fee or the special application to operate a temporary food truck in the city for this event. So we paid the $108 for that to be able to get him in enough time to do the event. So right now the items that we've talked about that have a budget a number attached for the PA system and to be able to run that for the event is $1,000. The food truck permit is $108, and I think as we talked at the last meeting about the Michoacana? Michoacana. I think we were estimating about $500 for that. So that is what is proposed right now. So I think what I need is any additional costs that you anticipate would be necessary for this event, whether it's decorations or anything else, so that I can put this on the council council meeting agenda for the next October meeting to get that approval for you. These items will come out of the Public Arts Commission operating budget. So as we've said, you have $10,000 that's available to you from now until June 30th. Right now, the only expense that you've made has been the $537 for the display boards for the public art gallery shows. So your available budget is $9,486.52.
Just to clarify, this would be like up to this amount because the final number for like the paletas or the, what's it called, the audio might be lower. I know we had talked about looking into the breakdown of what would be included in the 1,000 and if that, I don't know if the.
So the $1,000, I did verify, that is, that was for the equipment. And I guess the question, Adam, is a generator still needed then since we'll be able to plug in? Because there was a $200 charge in there for the generator.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
I'm sorry, for Jacob's Way Productions, there was $800 for all of the equipment, and then there was $200 for a generator. But are we going to need the generator now?
I would think so, yeah, because you're going to have no power at the park itself.
I thought we determined that there was power at the concession building.
Not for what you would need for the AV equipment.
And that also, I think, takes away any flexibility that they have about where they want to set up, right? I mean, if
Because
you're
I'm thinking,
plugging someone-
because aren't we going to focus under where like the, all the tables, like all the picnic tables in that area is? I thought that would be kind of the focal point.
I think those little details we'll have to sort of sort out of like what the day of event will look like, where the setup will be, where the musicians will be, where we want the food trucks and things like
Yeah.
that. So, so right now, I think what I would propose is keeping it at 1,000. If an event turns out that the generator wasn't needed, then this would be the not to exceed amount that the council would have authorized for
I'd
you.
say keep it 1,000 too, because I agree, we need flexibility. Yeah, it's kind of a flexibility. And Crystal, what about the people that were coming to perform?
Yeah, there's no additional cost for them.
No additional cost, and they're going to be there, do you know what their time frame is?
They'll be available for whatever, so if we want them to get there a little bit earlier, if we're still doing 3 to 5, they can be there early to
Okay.
set up and test out things.
Okay, fabulous.
And then I guess, I think for the artists, we probably just need to know in working with the sound production of how many microphones or things like that would be needed for the performers.
Would you want me to connect them, or do you want to connect them via email directly to the person who's bringing the equipment and maybe they can, communicate?
Can anybody think of anything else that we're not thinking of?
Does that include the ice cream? We're going to do that?
That's the 500.
Oh, gotcha.
And you're going to have to spell me the name because I don't. You say it so beautifully that I can't. But yeah, we got that. So so it's the ice cream, that's the PA system, and then it's for the license, that special license for the food truck. Do we need anything else?
I think so. Just got it covered.
Then right now, we're looking at 1,608 so far, $1,608 total.
And that's coming out of the big bucket?
No, that's
Our
out of,
$10,000 bucket, of which
$10,000
we've already
bucket.
subtracted 537.
do you anticipate anything else? I'm just trying to think of, we wouldn't need any rentals. Obviously, we have other picnic benches and things out there that we wouldn't need. Certainly people could sit down and eat at. Are there any other type of decorations or nominal needs? We'll have the signs. Deanna's finishing up the signs. We just have the last few statements to be done, and then those will all be printed, and we'll have them placed out by each of the benches so that they will be next to the artists' benches. So that's taken care out of a separate budget.
And that was just me. I was thinking balloons.
Okay.
I was just thinking about balloons, or a balloon arch that people could walk through to come into the park. Is that getting a little too kitschy, or?
No, I think some decorations might be nice, just depending, whatever the precedent has been for this type of event.
I can't think, did anybody go to the library? Did they do, Christina, do you know, did they do a public party event for when they
So- We just did it, just like a breakfast, bagels. All the artists came, council was there, we said a few words, and we just let them all kind of walk around. So this
The
is
council
definitely
was
going
there
to
and
be
said a few
bigger.
words, but the community wasn't really invited.
There were a few community members, but it wasn't on a big
It
scale.
was a much smaller type of thing than we're doing now.
And so this one, it seems, we're going to have a food truck there that we would want to encourage people to patronize. We will have the free paletas for, the residents to enjoy, the children to enjoy. I think we would certainly want to invite the community, the whole community out to just, be part of this. Certainly we can, I think as Christina had mentioned at our last meeting, we will invite all of the commissioners, we will invite the council. I think it would be really great to have, a few words from you and Commissioner Mojica for leading this event, and, maybe some words from the council or the mayor to just, or
That was planned.
whose district is this in?
Ocotillo is Mayor Pro Tem Ross.
Yeah, so we could certainly ask Mayor Pro Tem, being that this is a park in her district, to say a few words about it. So Christina coordinates the council schedule, so we'll be able to confirm which council members are available for the day of the event.
Great.
I was looking online to see kind of quick and dirty price of like a balloon arch. It's about $250 on the low end. So would you want to look at maybe just more some loose balloons versus a balloon arch, or we don't have a, it says about $20 per linear feet.
One idea might be is like, so we have, 25 benches?
Yes.
Okay, maybe have a couple balloons at each bench. Then it would be all spread out.
Unless the artist doesn't want a balloon on their bench. I'm thinking maybe we ought to let the art speak for itself instead of, decorating.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about decorating the benches. I was just thinking just in general, to make it festive, yeah. Yeah, I understand.
No, I got it.
Yep.
Or maybe if we attached one, we attached it to the sign versus the bench, so that it doesn't impact their visibility of their art.
That you would see where all the different benches are, even though you could obviously look at a map too, but you could.
And then it's like, I do so many events, balloons just signify like party and celebration to me, and it just adds another element of color and like something's happening. And if you give them, to kids, I mean, it's like the whole thing about, it's like we're really doing this for the community. So, so not the arch, but yeah, the individual balloons, or with like balloons, you said,
When you get a bouquet of balloons at Stater Brothers, I did that for the art show. I think it was like, you get like 16 balloons for $13. It's pretty inexpensive.
So maybe plan in $50 or $60 just for incidentals.
yeah. So we add, well, I was going to just round it off and say, but,
I've got it up here.
what's that?
So it would be $1,548 roughly. So
148?
$1,548.
15. Right now we have.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, I have 1608.
I did it wrong. Hold on. I had 1668.
So 16, so you're saying another $50 for that, okay. And we can figure out how we want to do them. Yeah, I just think we just make it more fun.
You don't have to attach them to the bench. You can just have them on the metal little thing
Sure.
on the ground.
Yeah. And then that'll leave you a remaining balance of $7,818 for,
7,818?
for other activities that you wish to do throughout
Got it.
the year, through June.
Okay, so we're discussing, but this is a line item that are we going to need to make a motion for, right? Because we need to
Yes.
pass this, and we need to get it to the city council, right, for approval?
I have to prepare the staff report tomorrow for the next meeting.
So does anybody else have anything, any other thoughts?
Just confirming, do you believe $500 for the paletas is good? Okay.
And before we act, I just want to say we have no attendees in the meeting, so no public comments.
And do we have any public comments?
No, sir, we don't.
Then I'll move that we recommend to the city council that we spend $1668 out of our administrative fund for the costs associated with this event.
I second that.
Okay, Commissioner Schrader, if you would select mover. Chair Liebelt, select seconder. Please vote. We have a motion by Commissioner Strouder and a second by Chair Liebelt. Motion carries, all ayes.
Groovy far out. Okay, we're moving on here to the selection of art for Esperanza Park.
Yes.
Anne, can you please introduce this item?
Absolutely. So good evening, Commissioners. As we've talked about before, the city is currently under construction for the new Esperanza Park, which was formerly the Dream Homes Park. And construction is slated for completion in March of 2025. And as part of the park planning, there is an area at the entranceway for the park, as we discussed before. As you drive through, there's a little roundabout, and there is a place for a planned art piece right there. And the challenge that we have right now is that we have not started that selection process, and we're getting really close into the time frame where we're going to be opening the park. So I think what we need to talk about is sort of a process for planning for this art piece. And one thing that's going to be really crucial about this is having time and having intentionality about engaging the public. So throughout every stage of the construction and design and development of this park, there has been engagement with the community. We've had 2 commissioners on the PACE Commission that have been instrumental in doing that. The city and its consultants have been doing that. So in asking the community about what amenities they wanted throughout the various stages of the construction, and then also most recently into the naming. The city, some of the commissioners did go out into the community and solicit names from community members. The city sent a survey out to all of the households in the Dream Homes neighborhood, both in English and Spanish, soliciting input on the name. And then in partnership with the neighboring school, the Public Works Department sent out like a little exercise of asking the children what amenities and what that park means to them and what they would suggest for a name. And it was through that process that the name of Esperanza, which means hope, came to be. So in the selection of the art piece, or in some discussions about what would be meaningful to the community, there needs to be some type of engagement process with this. And so I think we, as a city, we have kind of a variety of opportunities to purchase art. There is, I think, an exemption in our procurement code specifically about art. So if there was an art piece that you wish to purchase, which I think has been some of the art pieces in the past, a purchase could be made. I'm going to cough for a minute, so excuse me. You have the opportunity to do sort of a formal call for artists, and would need to have sort of a scope of work and scope of budget for that project. Or I think another option would be to sort of do kind of it's more or less like a request for qualifications, a request for interest. Give a scope of the project, where the location's going to be, what the park is about, and ask for interested parties to submit, kind of their resumes of, what kind of projects they've done, what their capabilities are to do a public art piece. And then of that group that may submit, then as a commission, maybe narrowing that down to a few artists that you'd like to pursue more to actually develop and scope a project for this. Ideally, we would like to have this done and installed by March of 2025, but I also realize that might be a big ask to have somebody be able to conceptualize, engage with the community, get some buy-in, and do that. So the city will be planning some kind of a large event in March to welcome the community into their new park. But if this piece is not fully vetted and ready by then it will just be something that we will have to showcase at another time, and it just won't be part of the grand opening. So I think those are sort of the options that might be available in terms of the procurement of a piece. And so I wanted to add this item for the Arts Commission to discuss this and sort of maybe provide some directions so that you can begin this process. We have approximately $280,724 available in the fund for public arts projects. Obviously, we can't spend that kind of money, but coming up with a realistic budget for that piece would be also something that we would need direction from so that we could get something before the council for authorization.
Thank you. Appreciate that. While you were talking about that, about the timeline, I just looked at even the meetings that we have. We have November, December, January, February. We only basically have 4 meetings to even meet and discuss and bring. That is definitely pushing it.
Yeah, and also just for your knowledge, I think November and December we're at only 1 meeting each. I think because of the holidays, so because of the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, the council will only be meeting once per month, aside from a special meeting to swear in the new council members after the election.
I'm not sure I see this taking less than a year. This is a big deal.
So there are 2 ways of looking at it. I mean, so if we put out there could be something in existence that we really love. There could be already completed piece, and that's the big unknown at this moment. We don't know. If we put out a call to artists, and then the next thing about putting out a call to artists, do we keep it regional like California? Like, do we keep it regional? Do we, because we're doing like this for a big park. This is just a quick, I look at it. But then again, would people from far away want to bear the expense of shipping it and bringing it here? I think there should be, I think there should be a call out, a call for artists, but I think what I would ask each commissioner is all of us to be on the search ourselves, each one of us individually kind of
So
looking.
can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
In the interaction that other commissions and city staff have had with this community, has anybody talked about what kind of art they want?
I don't believe that that's been part of the discussion yet, because we haven't really had the commission engage, or this commission hasn't been engaged on that item yet.
We have folks in the community that we have relationships with that
Yes.
we can have those conversations. I think my biggest concern, much more than time or cost or the process, is that we've just seen with our neighbors next door what happens when you don't engage the community in a public art project. And for me, it's got to completely come from there.
And I think that's also an opportunity that you have in talking with the artists as well, that it would make sense that if you're going to select an artist, that they are also helping facilitate some of that discussion with the community and being kind of on the forefront of, if you select an artist, that they should be engaged with them as well. One piece of history that I do know about this is that the community, the only sort of art-related conversation I believe the community has had is that the city had received a donation or was going to receive a donation of an art piece. It was some kind of birds. And I think there was a discussion about placing that at the park. And all I do know is that there was a resounding no from the community, that the community felt that that they were just being dumped sort of secondhand trash, and that wasn't what was the intent of the representation of this park and what the community, I think this is a community that has been disenfranchised for a long time. And again, I wasn't part of these discussions, but what I've heard from other staff is that just didn't sit well with them, that they would be given, secondhand art versus something that was intentional to the park and to their place. So I wholeheartedly agree that engagement with the community, and there's ways that the city can support that. So if it was a meeting that the Public Arts Commission wanted to hold with the community or with an artist or number of artists, if it's something that you'd like us to do something and be able to reach out to with the schools, we've had those kind of relationships already, so that I think that the city could help support you in doing any of those kind of activities. And then I think it's also that difficulty of art versus sort of what is the meaning of the art, or what do they want it to convey versus what the actual piece is, and managing expectations that are so subjective that finding something that everyone is going to like might be difficult, but finding something that everyone sort of resonates with and is resonates with the community, resonates with the meaning of the park, I think is going to be the challenge of your task.
And I think we come the closest to that if we let the community lead the process, let them tell us what.
Yeah.
Or at least start the process by finding out what it is they're thinking they'd like to see there.
I have a quick question. So in the naming of the park, if I recall correctly, there was like a shortened list of like the top names, right? And then that was also, was there like a public comment period, or how was that managed? Because I could see that being something we do for the art as well, where there's maybe a set of like the top 4 or top 5 proposals, and then the community can comment on that as well.
I think it's just going to depend on how you engage with your artists. So if you did an RFP where you're asking, we want you to submit an art piece for consideration for this, I think that would be one option. But I think, again, depending on how you want to do the engagement. Do you want to do the engagement up front of getting some of that feedback from the community, and then do the RFP, and then put those art pieces out to the community to sort of weigh in on? Or do you want to go out and solicit artists that would be capable of doing a project like that, and then agreeing to go under contract with one of those artists, and then working with that artist and the commission and the community to develop something that's meaningful to that community? I think it just depends on how you want to structure the procurement of that piece.
My thoughts are, the first thing, I agree with Don, the first thing we do is we set up a meeting with the community and tell them that we're going forward with this, that we're going to start with this, and we're starting this process, and we want them involved from the get-go. I think we can do a couple things simultaneously. I think we can engage and meet with them, and then we can also all be looking for artists at the same time. What was crossing through my mind, it was really interesting, is if we said, like, this is the budget, this is what we're going to do, but if you feel strong and you want something else, if they wanted to somehow just say, fundraise and do something to support even something bigger, whatever. I mean, just any way to like let them feel like they're part of it and they can influence it and they can make it their own. I just thought there was lots of different ways, but yes, I think we start a series of meetings. And I think in the meantime, but we've got to start looking, because the one thing about I forget how many names were submitted for that name. And not that I'm shooting for the March deadline, because I just don't think that's going to be realistic, unless something truly magical shows up, and that can happen too. But I think if we start meetings with them and keep that on an ongoing basis, yes, given what happened in our neighboring city, and keep them continually involved and engaged, and we can all be actively pursuing, and then say that we're going to put out a call. That way, if they have ideas or suggestions, they're involved, but we just keep it. Even if could set it up like a monthly meeting and just keep them in the process, whatever, too.
I don't think you're going to have that level of interest for a monthly meeting in any community. You look at like kind of participation at council meetings. I think setting realistic expectations for the commission and for the involvement of the community. I think kind of maybe doing a kickoff meeting with the community or inviting them, having other means to reach them, whether it's if you wish to have the city send out something like a questionnaire or something like we did with the naming. But I think it probably, for the community to stay engaged on a monthly basis, it just this sort of
Got it.
Formative process, you're probably not going to get the level of participation that you're wanting, just because people are busy. And I think as a commission, you're the ones tasked with sort of creating the process and then having the public be engaged in the formative periods of that. What does this park mean to you? What does the name mean to you? What would be good representation? Something that you'd like to see. Maybe there are artists or people know of artists that they think would be, something meaningful to them in the community. So, but I think for you all to come up with how you want to sort of engage the procurement process, I think then will help dictate that sort of engagement piece for you.
So the initial meeting to find out their thoughts about that process, and then just sort of one, as Crystal had mentioned about, then giving them options. When we've kind of come down to like a consensus with us, we can come down with several options and have them see just their input as well then.
Again, it's going to depend on what process you choose for the selection. So if you do just sort of a straight request for proposals, and you ask artists to submit their proposals of the art piece that they would propose building or installing there, I think then you have the option of saying, okay, here we've gone out to bid, we've gotten these selected artists, and we have these number of art pieces that we want to show you to see if any of these resonate with you. The other option is to do a call for artists interested, or, send us your qualifications as an artist. And then you as a commission would maybe go through that list and decide on one, or maybe you narrow it down to one or two artists that you're really interested in. And then you would ultimately select one to develop whatever that art piece is. So it might not be something that exists yet, but they, in working with you and working with the community, they come up with the idea for it. And then the city would go under contract with that artist to create that piece and to make sure that they're working with you in the community to understand the vision for that art piece. So again, I think it just depends on how you would like to go about this request for how you want to get artists in the door to be considered.
I think what I'm saying is I don't want to do that until we talk to the community, until we hear from them.
Okay.
The only thing about not bringing the artist in earlier is that they're going to miss all the talking that you're doing with the community. And they're the person who's going
Commissioner, could you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Without having the artist, I like the second scenario that you're talking about. The reason for that is that you're going to have the artists there hearing exactly what the community wants, because they're going to be the creator. Me telling the artists what I heard from them.
Well, I mean, obviously, we're going to hook them up,
Right.
But we can still have a meeting beforehand to say what our process is.
but I don't think we should choose our process until we talk to the community.
And I think what I'm hearing from Commissioner Stoddard is that by having that discussion with the public up front, I mean, it's kind of at a broad scale of what does this park mean to you, what does the name mean to you, what as a community would be significant, will help guide what you put into the RFP or the call of, through initial discussions with the community is interested in X, Y, or Z, or, these meetings, and that might help narrow down people that might be interested in the project.
But what I'm thinking that we have to have some kind of process. We just can't go ask them to do the process for us.
That's not
So,
what I said.
okay, so, but what I'm saying is that, so what I'm thinking, what we need to figure out is the price, what kind of money we're talking about. From there, then we could do the call for artists too. But in the meantime, you can still be talking to them and saying that this is what we're doing. And
I think you guys are saying the same. I think they're simultaneous.
Yeah.
And I still think that, yes, Commissioner Stoddard, what he's saying, yes, is that I think that we do need to engage them to tell them we're starting this process so they know that it's in process, and just get quick feedback. Do they want a kinetic sculpture? Do they want a flat sculpture? I mean, just like basic stuff. They're just basic stuff that we can go by. And then from there, you're right, then we have to put out a call to artists. I do think we really have to talk about a budget, because even to put out a call to let people know, it's going to be, and we can, and can we say even, we can't say approximately, does that, we say the budget, like just say we're planning on 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, but that's not set in stone at this moment? Or do we have to, I guess we're putting a call to artists, we do have to have
I think we do need to kind of give them what the max budget is, and, what's included in that. Is that the art piece? Is that the concrete? Things like that. I think Public Works had planned to put in concrete for this piece. So, we can work that out. But I think having that sort of max budget of 40, 50, 60,000, whatever it is that you think would be reasonable for this park, I think is a number that I would want to go to council with and say, that the Public Arts Commission is, starting the process to procure, go through a procurement process for the art piece. We'd like to get authorization for X budget so that we can engage with artists. And then if that changes, we could always go back to the council for different authorization. But I think in talking to the artists, we need to be able to give them some sense of what the budget is to propose on this.
And I feel because this is for Esperanza, I do want to sort of up the ante. I do want to create a budget that's going to make them feel like that it is special, that they're not being, it's not a leftover, this is not a something. I do want it to be a substantial and a significant for the city, itself, to be at this park and give other people, people in this community a reason to go to that park and see something really beautiful and substantial. So,
And it's going to be right at the entryway, so it's going to be visible from the street side. It'll be visible for everyone that enters into that park. And so
yeah.
having something that matches this brand new, extremely large investment that the city makes, I think would be great.
Do we have any recent pieces that might have been done like in the last 10 years or something, that, what the range of price was? Or?
I can look at, I have a list that's kind of our insurance values of the pieces, but that isn't necessarily aligned with the procurement. And I'm not aware that any of the previous, and Christina, you can correct me on, you have a little bit more history with this. I'm not aware of any pieces that the previous commissions have gone through like an RFP process for. I think a lot of the pieces have been either donated or have been just direct purchases, like went to a gallery or someplace else and made the purchase of a piece. So I don't know that there has been a lot of previous history of purchasing things through RFP. But I think certainly, either I can look a little bit at our records, or perhaps some of the other commissions in the valley have had more recent procurements that might be able to provide some better information.
That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Yep. What makes a huge difference is the materials, whether you're talking about aluminum or stainless steel or bronze, exponentially, they're just, So, but I think that, and with costs, how costs have risen, and working on this other project with Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Ross, that looking at just the cost of basic materials, I'm realizing how things have changed. Even from, so it's like, and that's what I'm saying, I think that really, and the amount that you guys tell me, because the amount that I keep thinking in my head is somewhere like in that $60,000 range. I mean, to be realistic in this day and age, and that's only a portion of our total budget, but I really would like it to be a significant, like I said, contribution to this park. So
I have a couple thoughts.
Sure.
One is a question. I feel like I remember it coming up early on that the base would already be available for the art, or is that something we have to budget for as well?
No, I believe Public Works still has it in their budget. We just need to know what the art piece is to know what they need to lay down there. So I think as they're finishing the park, since this will probably not be ready, we'll probably just have kind of a blank space maybe we'll have to throw some plants or something in it to make it look nicer till we get the concrete in there. But it will, I don't want to put any kind of base in not knowing what we're going to be installing to it. Yes.
I'm looking at the map and I'm wondering if, where it says park signage opportunity, is that where we're thinking this installation would be?
Yeah, so it is going to be right in the center of the map. So as you are driving in that main roadway, looks like a tree right now in the center of the roundabout. That's where the art piece will
Got
go.
it. Okay, great.
And it's about, our Public Works had given me the dimensions. So the maximum width that the piece can extend to is about 12 feet. So the base and any extension from the piece can't be, although I had 12 inches on one. 12 feet is the maximum dimension for the width of the piece.
Two other quick comments. One was if we do go with the second process that was proposed where an artist is selected and then there's a longer process with that one artist to develop the piece, I would say we write into whatever contract or application that they have a commitment to attend or lead or participate in X number of community meetings. So that is like a condition of their participation. And then the second thing, this is just kind of more general, like advocacy for communities that have been underinvested in, is like nothing is developed for us without us, right? And so I think whatever process we go with will be fine as long as nothing is a surprise to the community. So, if we keep that in mind, we should be okay.
I think that's absolutely wonderful advice. And I think also ensuring that when we are going out to the community that we do have bilingual speakers because of the component of the community. We want to make sure that we can reach out to them in the tongues that are spoken in the community. And so that's why any communication that the city has put out has always been in English and Spanish to try to make sure that we're getting, that our message is getting out correctly and that we're getting that input back.
Did you say the PACE Commission had 2 members that had some good contact?
Yes.
Is it possible for us to ask them to join us at our November meeting and perhaps bring with them anyone they think might have an interested voice?
And certainly we can connect them with you, because it's Commissioner Liebold and Mojica that are the leads still on this project. So we can certainly connect them to, and I forget who they are. Was it?
And I want to say it's,
I remember Richard was one, Richard.
I'm not sure.
Commissioner Martinez, and I apologize, I can't remember the other one, but I can email
Was
you
it
that
Commissioner
information.
Herrera?
It may be Commissioner Herrera. But I'll get back to you guys on that. I can send you that. I'll link you guys up.
and I'm also thinking we can also attend their meeting as well. Yeah. And-
The school that is adjacent had been really good about if we had any community meetings of giving us space at the school to welcome the community members over to have these discussions. So that could be an option as well if we wanted to go out into the community to work with the school district to use their community room or gymnasium / lunchroom to be able to meet with the residents.
But for me, it gets to what Crystal said about us making decisions for a community. That's why I'm personally not ready to put a number on it yet, even without at least having one initial conversation with interested people to give us a sense of what it is they.
I don't think we have to put a number on it yet. I was just putting that, that's the number that I'm coming up with in my head. I just want people to start thinking in just like, what is a number? We have to come up with one. So what is a number? And if you start looking, each of us individually start looking at some major pieces, looking at the dimensions, and that's why you'll start to see. But like I said, for some reason, that's a number that just keeps popping into my head. So I'm just putting that out there just to give people a thought and just so now everybody has to start looking and see what y'all come up with.
You know, I'm kind of hung up on the community input portion of all this. I mean, do we need to do it at the beginning, or could we possibly put a call for artists out, an RFP, and we receive the proposal, we do the vetting, and narrow it down to 4 pieces that we think might be appropriate, and then put that out to a vote to the public? I mean, is that enough community input?
I think that what Crystal was saying, I like that, what is that little saying?
Oh, that nothing is for us without us?
That I think that we need to take that really serious and do like what Don was saying and just tell people, here's what we're doing. And then we can get back to them going, here's where we are, and here's where, and then they're buying it because they're with us, because they're part of it. They're part of the process.
I just think there's a lot of extra parts to this.
I think it's really worth it though for the community.
I mean, the last thing I want to see is that we encounter the same situation that Palm Springs did with the AIDS Memorial, so.
No, I think.
And that's what we're doing by avoiding this, by.
Nothing that looks like a donut.
From the very beginning, and letting them know that they're involved from the very beginning, and then kind of along the way, we're keeping them in the loop and updated, and so they can, at any time, feel free, they can show up at our meetings, they can comment, they can, they can do whatever. Yeah, I think that we, from the very get-go, say that we're planning this, we're looking at this, what are your thoughts, so that kind of gives us a direction on who that we're out there looking for, too. That helps in a sense.
And I think too, by saying that, you never know, I think Ann had mentioned before, there could be somebody there who knows an artist or something that would be interesting too, so.
Right.
Yeah, so that gives them opportunity to have that.
Or perhaps even, just one of the things that I've seen, there's an artist, I don't know if he's from this area, or I know that there's several pieces that does mosaics. And, again, there may be an artist that you select that has opportunities for the public to be involved in the creation of it. Again, just there's different mediums that people work in, but I think our I think you're absolutely on the right track of getting some of that feedback early. I think the question is then, if that's the way you want to go, do we want to start looking at potential dates, or would you like staff to reach out to the school district to find out potential availability to schedule a first meeting with the community to just talk about the project and get input? And then if you decide to do that before the RFP, then that can guide the RFP process. Or if you do the RFP process, then I think it's going out to the community and saying that we're, looking for artists. We'd like to get your input into that and be part of the process of selection. So I think just depending on which way you want to go, we can start looking at scheduling.
That would be
to do
great,
this.
because who knows, maybe the school's having a special event coming up that we could climb in and be part of that to get people,
The feedback that when Deanna sent over the information to the schools, and I'm guessing she probably worked with the Scrap Gallery to maybe do those projects with the students, but they were really endearing, and they drew pictures, and they were very creative, and just like kids are, they're just there's just that openness. And, these are children from the neighborhood that this park serves. And so it was great feedback to get from the young people. We did get some feedback from, other residents that were there. But I think finding ways that engagement is really meaningful and that voice from the neighborhood is heard and is really considered, I think is very valuable for this
I really
project.
want to hear from those commissioners who have been working with that community. Is that something you guys can do before the next meeting, is chat with them?
Yeah, like a subcommittee, something, gathering or committee, yeah. Yeah.
And I almost want to say that I think that Chair Highland is too, for some reason. Anyway, we can find out. Christine, I think I'm going to need your help because I think I closed my own screen in a moment of, anybody else have any thoughts then? So yes, I would like, if we can, show me which one it is. That I'd like to set up a meeting, as soon as we can, so I can reach out. You can let us know where I can reach out to.
And then I think by the November meeting, it's just going to be one of those that does have kind of a time sensitivity to it. So I think it is important that we develop a timeline for this project, develop a budget, develop the engagement strategy so that we can get into the council for approval, we can get in front of the community, and can get on with the process of acquisition.
I know that you want to go, but we're missing the most basic of information.
No,
And so let's gather it, and let's be careful, and let's give that community what they want.
And I agree with you. I'm not trying to say what the date is, but just that I want to make sure that we set up a time frame for this project to happen, because I think the council is probably going to expect it sooner than later. And so we just want to be able to, at the point that we're ready to have that conversation,
If we show them that we're moving and that we have a plan, is really what they're going to want to see, and that we can give them. So I think it might take between now and like our next meeting, or even the second one, November, December. But I think that hopefully by December that we should be definitely coming up with something.
Seems like a reasonable.
Yeah.
So just to confirm, the next step would be to put together an engagement proposal or plan and then present it to city council for approval, or?
No, I think at the point that you're ready to, and it's probably going to be another meeting out or so, that as you think about what the potential budget, sort of a budget proposal is for this, that we can bring that to the council. But when I bring the budget proposal to the council, I want to be able to talk to them about kind of what your process is, and be able to talk to them a bit about how you're going to engage with the community, what your expectations are of an artist that is selected to be able to engage with the community, and so that they understand that they're not approving, the budget like to acquire a piece, but we're giving authorization for us to expend up to that amount for a piece. So once you have more time to talk about what kind of procurement process you'd like to go forward, then we can bring that whole sort of general package together to the council.
So I'm hoping, yes, that we can I guess between now and the next meeting, if we can set up a meeting with the community, I guess if we reach out to Parks and Community Events, get together with them, see if they have a contact person, see if we can try to set something up between now and then, depending on schedules.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Commissioner Mojica, so that's the starting point to see then what their thoughts are. Then I would encourage all of us, same thing, start researching sculptural artists and and I encourage you to look at pieces in aluminum, bronze, and steel just to get really familiar with what the costs of things are, sizes and dimensions, and so that you really start to see like realistically what a budget, because we have to put together a realistic budget to present.
There is a website that I'm blanking on the name of, but I've been sort of keeping a list of resources, and it's a website of public art projects that have happened around the country and around the world, and it's kind of interesting because you can sort by state, you can sort by budget, so you can and when it was constructed, so it is at least something that you can look at for just a
Starting
cost
point.
scope. And again, if any of you have connections with any of the other commissions, that might be another place that we can look to see any of their recent acquisitions and what the price point was for what they've constructed.
I know the city of Yucca Valley was just working on their entry monument into the city, and so that might be something, like right now they have their final period for public comment. They've selected, I think, 4 or 5 pieces, and so they're at that stage. I remember they opened at the beginning of summer for proposals. So I'm pretty sure they advertised the amount of funds that were going to be available for the project, so that might be something just to check out since it's
And this was Indio Entryways?
Yucca Valley.
Oh, Yucca Valley, sorry,
Yeah.
thank you.
And maybe we could contact Palm Desert. They have a lot of,
Most of those are on loan, FYI. The other one I'm thinking of is Palm Springs recently, and I read they put a call for artists, and I kind of went, because they have a pretty, they were based, I forget, what were they saying, how much, but it was a lot. Yeah. And that's kind of where I got my number. I took their number, I remember, and I kind of scaled it down a little bit. But, yeah.
Well, I think the thinking too of the art fund is not fully replenished. It replenishes when development happens. So if all that money goes away, then there is no additional funds for that. So I think last year we took in about 14 or 15,000, that constituted that. So that's the balance of trying to, fund the projects, but also be able to fund projects into the future too. So while development is good.
Yep, understood.
It's so wild because last night I was approached by someone if we were going to be having any installation projects coming up. I said, wait and see, it'll be advertised on our website.
But if you get names like that or emails,
Get a name.
yeah, shoot it over to me because we've been sort of putting together kind of lists. So as we've sent out all of these artists just for the calls for artists and anything like that, I've been trying to just keep a running list going so that we can send information out to people that are interested in
and so
Kidding.
part of the first things we're going to do, you're going to contact the school, the principal or something too over there, or? Yeah.
we can figure that out, and I think once you and the other commissioners have had a chance to talk, we can sort of see what kind of time frame they need to be able to allow us to do the room.
Because, I remember like when I first got on the commission, I went to that meeting for the park, and it was a very good meeting, so it was a good representation of people, so that was a good one.
If there is that a community meeting is pulled together, are all 5 of us allowed to be there at the same time?
You are allowed to be there at the same time. You just can't all facilitate the discussion. I mean, we have council members that'll all be at the same meeting, but you can't act as a body to
Got it.
run that meeting.
So we can all, okay.
Yeah.
So like the first, I guess, there's not really anything that we make a motion on at this point. Are we motioning to bring this back and discuss it?
I'll have it on the next agenda to discuss, and then if, between now and then, if you and Commissioner Mojica have talked to the other commissioners and maybe have anything you want to add to the agenda to make a recommendation to the rest of
Right.
the commission,
Okay.
we can do that.
Okay.
Or recommendation for like, timelines or, for the community engagement or
Right.
whatever it is.
And
So-
Christina, you'll let us know about who that is for Parks and Community events?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous.
And I'll start looking at that website you're talking about. Do
you remember what it
Like
is?
anything.
I'll email it out to all of you, because I have it saved, I just can't remember what it
So if we
is.
find something, and we should be sending it to you, and then you would
Yeah.
let us know, because we can't do it.
Yeah, we can push things out to, I always send it blind copies so that it's, you can't accidentally respond to all and we have a problem. So if I send anything out to you, I'll send it to all of you, but it'll be blind copied so you only see yourself.
Okay, thank you.
And just for my own benefit,
Yes.
define what the Art and Public Places Fund is,
The Art and Public Places Fund is a developer in lieu fee.
developer fee.
Yes, that's funded from the developer fees on new construction projects over 15,000 square feet. And so they have to pay a percentage into that, or if they could either choose to put a piece of art into their project that's publicly accessible, or they can pay the in lieu fee to the Art and Public Places Fund that the city can use to advance public art in our community. So that's the $200, that's the big bucket.
Got it.
And one more thing, I think you said that there's a 12-foot,
It can't be larger than, the span of it can't be larger than 12 foot wide, because that's the space that it has available in that center there.
okay, thank you.
Okay. So this, I guess we're calling this discussion to a close, but so I need to ask, are there any questions of any members of the public that wish to comment on this item?
Chair, we don't have any requests to speak forms and no members of the public present.
Thank you, Ms. Christina. Okay, so moving on. Next, we have planning for 2025 quarterly art exhibits. Anne, can you please introduce this item?
Yes, so as we all know, Vice Chair Travish initiated a quarterly art exhibit at the Cathedral City Library in 2024, with dates scheduled in May, August, and the final event scheduled for November 9th and 10th. And this item is just on the agenda for any discussion to plan for the 2025 exhibit series at the library. As you, I think, know, the council approved the commission's request for funding of the display boards to be used for future exhibits, and so that's currently being ordered. So those will be available for the next, should be available for, well, will be available for the November 9th exhibit. And the other ask out of this item is if there is any further need for any type of financial resources to do the next series of events, that those would also come out of the Public Commission's program budget. And if there is any request that I need to bring to the council, I just wanted to ask that you identify that.
Any additional comments? Commissioner Travis?
First, I want to thank everybody for being supportive this last year for the first three quarterly ones. So it's exciting. We're going to have the last one on 9th and 10th. And then what I'm thinking of is like, how do we want to go for next year? And I've got different options and I'm open to different things. So one of the things is that it fits 9 to 10 artists well, the space is what I figured out to give them some, so we're looking at 9 to 10 artists for each quarter. And then we would do a call for artists, so I'm thinking of like in December or January maybe, one of them, to give us more time. And the ultimate thing would be is that we had so many artists that they would all be new every show, so that's fine. And that would be the ultimate goal. But we would do, I was talking to Don, who's my co-sponsor, and we were talking about that. What we would like to do is put on there that we have a priority for Cathedral City artists. But we could certainly open it up, but with giving them a little bit of a priority. I think that's a good thing to do. And then the other options is that I think when Councilman Rita Lamb came by, she was going, she sparked her with all kinds of ideas. And one of the things she said, like, hey, why don't you have a food truck? Why don't you have this? And those are ideas that we could think of. We can add to it if anybody would like to do that. The other options you could do is that you could go with a theme, but I don't know, you might not necessarily get all the artists. I kind of like when you have lots of different types of art, not all the same art, and that's like, it was great having photographers, artists, abstract, realists, so that's kind of, so I think we could go with that. So I think it's a really nice venue. I think the artists who participate appreciate it because they get all the money, and that's awesome, because there's not that many forums for artists to do like that. And so I think that if we, especially since we've had the benches, that's the floodgates of artists now. I think that we're going to get a lot more requests. So I think that if we could do that, I don't think we really need to lock ourselves into a theme too much or anything like that. What do you guys think?
Do we want to set dates tonight, or is it premature?
I think we need to set dates with the library.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
We need to
and
see what their
then-
schedule is.
The way that, what I.
Do you have targets for months that you want to exhibit?
I would say February, May, August, and November. But I want to check with the library. Then after that, I want to check with all the other events going on. Because I'm learning.
As we all are, yes. We're constant, yes.
This last one is going to be at the same time as Fields of Valor, but I think it might be a benefit because we get more people, more traffic.
Fields.
Fields of Valor, which is a Veterans Day event.
So at Patriots Park, the Rotary does an event called Fields of Valor, and so they have a ceremony and then place flags for all the service members that died in action at the park.
Veterans Day.
Yes.
So I think that, I've done it with like minimal costs. I think we can keep it that way because, we're providing a nice venue for artists to sell, and I think that's really appreciated. But if we want to add food trucks or whatever, we could too.
Did you say what number of artists would be showing at each?
9 to 10 is a good, because what we do is we have them show multiple pieces, so it's not just
So
one.
96 pieces?
Huh?
9 to 10 artists.
Oh, 9 to 10 artists.
Yeah, but then we show, it's not like they have some art shows only, you only get to have 1 or 2 pieces. They get to have many pieces. Yeah.
And do they handle the sales themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The one question I had, Rick, was in terms of a call for artists. Do you want to do 1 for all 4? Do you want to do 4?
Well, we could do it either way, or we could do it maybe half and half, maybe like for the first 2 and then the last 2. If we want to do it that way, we could.
I think just depends on whatever works for you for being able to select artists for your.
It might take a little extra time, but I sort of like the idea of 4, because, as an artist, then I don't have to be as clear about, okay, I'm going to attend these 2, but maybe I can only attend 1,
But I think, that's the understanding. When you put out the call for artists, if you are selected, does that mean you're automatically going to be in all 4? Are you going to be in 1? So I agree with you about kind of breaking it down because do 2, at least the first and second show, the first half of the year, and then do a second call for the second half of the year maybe. So that way it's not 4, but it's not 1, so that people also realize.
It's a lot of phone calls.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that if we split it, maybe, I think that's a good idea, Don, to split it. And then with the understanding too is that as we're getting more and more artists involved and excited, that we're not going to be repeating them unless somebody falls out or whatever, kind of thing.
And that was what my thoughts were about, making sure it's fresh, making sure as a viewing audience that there's always something new for them to see. There's somebody, new to see. I don't think themes are a bad idea, honestly. I think you could have one that's just all photography or all something or all that. So that way you're going to pull like a different kind of audience for that. Or, like I said, having a theme. I'm losing my thought about the thought of what they call that, but a special exhibition. So I think that, we get to make this what we want it to be. and not just another so I think that we could be specific, that we could be a specific topic, quarterly. What about Valentine's Day? I mean, just say February, what it is about love, humanity. How do we show love in the world? How do we, do something? And that way it can strike different chords for people. Well, okay, it's just not about art. I don't think about art, but if you hit a chord and you do something, or you then involve like students involved in it too. So then the family, for those kids, or like go to schools and say like you have this many adults, or for each one have a student or something, or what? Oh,
So just a reminder too, so Commissioner Travis and Commissioner Vice Chair Travis and Commissioner Stouter are the subcommittee for this. I was looking back because I knew we had assigned people. So I think this one was just to kind of bring it up. I think for both commissioners to kind of think about how you want to do that and then bring it back. We certainly have time to plan for that.
But what we could do, I was just thinking, since we're going to split it in half and do 2 and 2, we can just worry about the first 2, and then we'll go worry about the second 2. And then we can go and have more ideas.
It also increases, as the awareness of this event or of the series increases, it gives the community an opportunity to be involved rather than having just one shot every year. It's the similar discussion that we had to the Community Arts Grant Program, how it's just once a year. So I mean, even if it was just twice a year, I think that would be great, because then, like I said, as awareness increases, more folks have an opportunity to at least submit themselves.
Yeah, I personally don't mind coordinating it and stuff like that, because I think it's kind of fun, and I get to meet a lot of nice people and that, so it's not that part, and I think the budget's good.
I can't hear you.
The budget's very good. Yeah, it's pretty low, so I don't mind, but I think that, yeah, we can come back.
So I think if you want me to put it on another agenda as you both decide how you want to handle this year's role, I think, we have plenty of time.
The call to artists, or is somebody from the city?
We have it all, it's all together. And then the only thing I would add on the call to artists is maybe like this time we were looking only for Cathedral City last time, but this time would be Cathedral City preferred, or whatever the verbiage would be. But we got that, so.
Yeah, okay. Great.
any other thoughts? Any other comments? Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this item?
No, Chair Liebelt, we have no request to speak forms and no attendees.
Thank you so much. Okay. Then we're going to move on to an update on the City Council's review of the entryway monument recommendations. Ann, can you please introduce this item?
Yes. Good evening again, Commissioners. So at the September 25th City Council meeting, the Council heard a presentation that I prepared and that Public Works Director Corella presented, because I was at a conference on the Public Arts Commission's recommendations for the entryway program. So just as a recap, the Public Arts Commission recommended the subcommittee's recommendation to replicate the Mountains Cathedral monument sign in a smaller format at the city's entryways with the message, "Welcome to Cathedral City." So the council had that discussion, and they supported the idea of doing that. And some of the key takeaways and discussions that came out of that meeting that Mr. Corella provided to me was first to determine if we can replicate the art piece as proposed. So one of the things that we did do was we went back and looked at the initial agreement that the city prepared with the artist, and it did give the city the right to the copyright of that piece. And so we feel that the city does have the ability and the right to be able to replicate it as desired. So we did have that reviewed by our city attorney. There was discussion by the council of whether it could be made of alternate materials. So the Public Works Department staff did get some initial quotes sculpting it out of steel. So the council was open to considerations of doing construction in aluminum to reduce costs. So the Public Works staff would have to put together a project to get those kind of quotes. The council was supportive of moving So where there are currently art pieces at a city entrance, the council was supportive of moving those art pieces so that the new monument sign would be the first thing at the entryways. So they were supportive of that idea, but obviously more work would have to be done to where those pieces would be relocated to, what the budget would cost to relocate them, because that would involve probably cranes and trucks and other things that the city would have to rent to move any of the art pieces that were recommended by the commission, and have to come up with a work plan, capital projects to do those different things. And then, again, depending on what the pricing was, potentially pick locations to find and designate funding, through various budget cycles to be able to install those pieces. But they all liked the piece and committed it to as an entryway monument. They want to get away from the art piece being the first thing at the city entrance and having the monument piece be the first thing that's at the entrance, because they feel it better brands the city and entrance into the city, and would create a fresh palette for the city entrances. They did agree to the discussion that the commissioners had about removing other conflicting monuments or art pieces and relocating other things that would, maybe if there were other trees or bushes that would detract from the monument piece, that would be other things that they would think should also potentially happen. They also agreed with the subcommittees and Mayor Pro Tem's recommendation about the message of welcome to Cathedral City as that welcoming message into the community. They, I think, all liked that as well. So there was some discussion about whether the piece should be the responsibility of the city or the art coming from the art fund. But I think the way that we're looking at it is that probably all of this would come out of the general fund, but I'll get some confirmation on that. Being that these are entryway pieces and not an art piece, it's going to be a replication of something, it's going to be signage. So I don't think that this would really fit under the Art and Public Places Fund. Entryways that were not designated as locations for monuments in the staff report that should be considered are Vista Chino at the new bridge location in East Palm Canyon coming from Palm Springs. And then there was a discussion, and we'd specifically asked the council's consideration on the planned art piece for the Ramon-Landau intersection. So in previous meetings and discussions with the Public Arts Commission, there was a planned art piece at that intersection that was going to be in honor of the tribe. But through this council's discussion, the council have agreed that they would rather have the wayfaring sign because that's another major entryway, and that we would look at another location for that art piece and the theme for that art piece. But they wanted to build that consistency that all of the entryways have the monument signage. So we'll look for another area, another potential project to do that other art piece. The council also discussed wanting to update and refresh all of our wayfaring signage, and that was a budget a presentation that Ryan had made at a previous council meeting. We do have an adopted wayfarer sign program. So any of they're kind of salmon colored right now, but there's metal signs throughout the city that either have wayfaring or just have the city logo. One of the proposals is to just refresh those, repaint them so that they're all back to their orange or their original color, have better finishing on them so that they withstand the heat and maintain their color longer. And then the other thing that the council directed staff to look into is whether the quarter scale size is too small, is half size too large. So they've directed staff to work on figuring out how to do some mock-up pieces so that they can sort of see what that would be, visually, that if we did a half-scale model or a quarter-scale model of the existing piece, how would that look, as an entryway piece. So staff are working on figuring out ways to be able to accomplish that so that we could also present it to the commission as well as to the council. So again, they, I think, really appreciated the effort. The city had originally planned to budget to do a study for entryway monument signs, and so by them accepting your recommendation, we'll no longer do that, and then we'll just have staff work on executing the commission's vision and the council's approval of that. And we will have to then figure this out into the budget process. Because as we presented the last time, the budget proposals for these were a bit costly, and we just have to come up with a better scope of the project, looking at the different materials, looking at, maybe finding some more competitive vendors, and planning those into our budget cycles for the coming years. So the council supported and liked your idea. So that is going to be what is going to drive the refresh of the entryway monuments to the city.
It's fantastic, great. Thank you so much, Ann.
You're welcome.
Any comments, any thought? I know we're getting there. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this item?
No, Chair, we have no members of the public in the meeting.
Okay, this item was for information and discussion only. There's no formal action required. So then we're going to move on. We are considering a request for sponsorship from the Scrap Gallery for the upcoming Dia de los Muertos event. Ann, can you please introduce this item?
Yes, and this is mine and Christina's Mea Culpa item. We had, the Public Arts Commission has previously supported providing funds to the Scrap Gallery to fund materials for the Dia de los Muertos event at Desert Memorial Park. And Karen Riley, who's the executive director of the Scrap Gallery, had submitted an application through the Community Grants Program. She submitted it in a timely manner. And she submitted 2 applications. One was for this program, one was for the Cathedral City Day of Peace organization. And we just, we don't know how we did it, but we submitted that one application to the commission for consideration, and we just completely dropped off the other one. It was our error, and but it was of no fault of Karen's that her application was not in for consideration with the rest of them. So I'm presenting that item to you tonight to discuss and to consider whether you wish to entertain this out of the PAC program budget for sponsorship. The budget request that was made through that application was for $1,500, and that was broken down for $750 for artist supplies for the student art exhibit, $550 for art supplies for the day of the event for, I think, youth that participate in their events on the day of the event. The artist supplies for the student art exhibit, there is a student art exhibit that I think is done before this event. And then $250 for installation materials, frames, and easels. And if recommended for approval, this would come out of the PAC program budget. And if the commission votes to support it, then I will bring this forward to the council on the October 23rd meeting. The Dia de los Muertos event at the Desert Memorial Park is on November 2nd. So it's the morning of the event, or the day that you'll be doing the ribbon cutting at Ocotillo Park. So that is my presentation, and within your staff report, you have the original application from Karen Riley as well.
Thank you so much, Ann. Are there any questions from the commission?
So the only question, to me, this is a no-brainer, but the only question I have is this something we do? Do we ordinarily consider small sponsorships of this type? Is that?
So before we had the grant process that we did for the first time this year, that's generally what would happen is people would come and present these they would come and just in general, come and do a presentation and do that here, yeah.
So,
And we sponsored it last year.
Yeah, and so this would have been one of the items put before you for consideration. The other, the commission did support this event last year, I believe, for $750, and that did come out of, it came out of the big bucket, but as we said, this is a changed budget year, so either the, whether it was funded out of the grant program or funded out of your budget, it all comes out of the general fund. But ideally, we will try to put these requests through the grant program. But it is it is an opportunity if the commission wishes to do a sponsorship or for an event that you would still have that ability out of your budget.
So this isn't coming out of the PACE budget,
This is coming out of the PAC. It would be coming out of your program budget.
right? So, I don't know, I don't know why it isn't associated with PACE, only because it's an event, basically. So,
I think because it has generally been just the art supplies and they do art activities at the event is why it has come to PAC versus PACE.
I think PACE has a very small budget. I think PACE has a very small budget, too.
They have the same budget as you do. You both have $10,000.
You said last year they requested and were granted 750?
That is correct.
Well, what I've heard, I wasn't able to attend last year, but what I've heard, this is one of the largest events in Cathedral City, and it has a really, really big attendance. I really want to go this year to see that. So I think it is a huge community thing. I think a lot of people go and participate and enjoy it. Any other comments, you guys? Any other questions?
I think it's great, but like, who are we going to take the money from? Where the grants that we've already,
No, it would come out of the formerly $10,000. It would come out of our $10,000 bucket that is now 7,000 something. Yeah.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. Right.
So do we need a motion?
So if you, what was the amount?
Sorry?
1,500, was it?
Well, we need to ask for public comment first.
And Chair, we do not have any requests to speak on this item. And the
Sorry?
amount, we have no comments.
No comments on
requests
this
to speak.
item.
And
What's that?
it is 1,500, Ann.
Thank
we
you.
voting? Sorry.
So
Make a
if,
motion first.
let me give you one item real quick. So if you approve the item, then you will have a remaining balance of $6,318. This is after the PAC, the items that you've already approved for the ribbon cutting event.
Well, I move that we fund this for the scrap gallery for $1,500.
I second the motion.
Okay. Vice Chair, if you would select mover. Commissioner Mojica, thank you. Please vote. Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Travis and a second by Commissioner Mojica. Motion carries, all ayes.
Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, now we're coming down to staff comments. Do we have any staff comments?
I do not, Commissioners.
You do not? Well, thank you, Ms.
Other than really excited about seeing the fruits of your labor this weekend. I'm really excited to see this project come to conclusion and see the enhancement at this park. I was really very motivated and very excited to meet all of the artists and see their energy, see their collaborativeness. They were all exchanging phone numbers and just really, I think, happy to be part of this and happy to be doing something that is contributing to the community that they're going to be able to be proud of. And that was just a very motivating meeting.
Great, thank you. I know, I'm excited. I'm really excited about it too. So then we're going to move on to the commissioners' reports. So let's start to my left. Commissioner Marks.
I was hoping you'd start with someone else so I know what an example of a report is.
Okay, I can do that. Okay. Commissioner Stouter.
So as the summer sort of come to an end, there's been some exhibitions that I've been a part of and visited. There was one Backstreet that went on for July and August that was really well attended, lots and lots of good art. The Artist Center at the Galen in Palm Desert is having a reception for their first juried exhibit of this year. That reception is this Thursday from 5 to 7. I'm happy to say I was juried into it. I'm very excited about that. And the other thing I wanted to mention in my report is that the folks at the Oswit Trust have put out a call for artists that I thought I would put on the record. And I was a part of this last year when they did it, but essentially they've asked for donations from artists that can then be sold at 2 different exhibitions to help raise money. And once again, this year, it's sort of being coordinated by the Desert Art Woman Gallery, which is here in our Perez Art District in Cathedral City. And so you can get more information from Juliet there. But just quickly, I'll read it. Open call for art. Are you passionate about conservation, saving the environment? By making a donation of your desert-themed art for Artists for Oswit, you'll join the family of artists and enthusiasts who support the Oswit Land Trust and the important work they do. 100% of all donations are to the Land Trust. Intake of art will be at the Desert Woman Art Gallery between October 21st and December 31st, and there'll be 2 galas to show that art on November 22nd and December 27th. If anybody wants more information about that, feel free to reach out to me. That's all I have, sir.
Great, great. Thank you so much.
I can go now.
You can go, okay. Okay. Commissioner Marks, please.
But I attended the fourth Friday kickoff of the Perez Arts District, the Open Studios. I don't know what they officially call it, but I always love going to that fourth Friday because I just love the scope of the artists that are present. And it was so hot. That's all I remember. But it was really great. I saw some great work. So very excited. I had an audition for CV Rep, and I'm hoping for a callback. So we'll see. They don't have callbacks until they're closer to the actual production. I'm hoping to be considered for Light and Piazza. So we'll see. And then last Saturday I attended the Night in Rio gala for the Palm Springs Unified School District. And just for clarification for myself, is Cathedral City part of the Palm Springs Unified School District?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. But I went as a volunteer. I worked registration, and I met a lot of movers and shakers and a lot of people with money. And so I took all my mental notes as the fundraiser that I am, and hopefully I'll be able to dig into that Rolodex and possibly come up with several options for future funding. Anyway, it was great. It was a nice event, and it was hot. That's it.
And that's it. Okay. Commissioner Mojica.
Thank you. Just 2 quick remarks. One is that I want to echo what Ann said about just how inspiring it was to see all of the artists together and see how excited they are about the Ocotillo Park project. Want to invite community to come out on November 2nd, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., and help us unveil this art and celebrate it. So just really looking forward to that and hope that we have a great turnout. And then the second thing, and maybe, I don't know if, Ann, if you're allowed to respond to comments, but I was wondering what the community can expect in terms of a timeline for the Community Arts Grant Program next steps, since we did have a chance to review some of those applications.
So what I'd like to do, maybe at the next meeting, is agendize a discussion about the grant application to see if there's anything you'd like to change. It would probably be, I'm thinking maybe March, April, probably around February or so that we would launch the next round, because figuring we'd give a month for applicants to submit their grant applications. So that'd be by March, have the commission review applications in April, and award in either May or June, because then that would be awarded before the end of the fiscal year, and then the performance period would start July 1 of the following year. So probably around February or March, I would say, would be the next round going out.
Great, thank you. That's all for me.
Commissioner Travis.
Hello, yeah, thanks. So, and then tomorrow, you're presenting that to the city council, right?
No, the requests for the funding will go to the October 23rd meeting.
Oh.
Council's already, the agenda's already out, so the council meeting is tomorrow night,
So
so.
would you like us to be there for that?
So yes, for tomorrow night, the council will be considering your recommendations for the award of the grants. Yes,
Okay,
that is
that's what I
tonight.
said. I see.
Yeah, I would encourage you to be there in case any had any questions about it. So But I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that all the commissioners had. You came really prepared and were really diligent in a very daunting task of how to award, over $170 some odd thousand dollars, and with only $20,000 available. And that was, I thought you were very thoughtful about how to approach that.
Thank you. So I got to visit the Gayland, the last show, and saw artist Don here, his photography. It was awesome. And so I encourage people to go out and see the new show coming up starting Thursday. Then also I'm working with a couple of other commissioners from other commissions for the Gay Pride Float. So yeah, we definitely.
The city's float? The city's flag pride
Oh,
float?
yeah, definitely. With Adam.
Awesome.
Okay. So like Friday, we're going to start working on it, and so we can have it done by Pride. But definitely we'd like some volunteers if anybody wants to walk with the float, or, that would be kind of a
For
fun.
the city of Cathedral City.
Yeah, absolutely. You get it.
We participate every year, and we're usually a little earlier in the line. So that was a long parade last year. I've never seen a parade that long. I think we were about 60 or 80, something like that.
It was nice because then you can sit and watch the rest of the parade.
right?
Yeah. So that's good. So that, we're doing that, and I'm looking forward to. I'm really enjoying our commission and all the work we're doing in the Ocotillo Park. It's just an exciting time, and I'm happy to be part of this awesome commission. Thank you.
Thank you all. My remarks are kind of brief too. It's funny. I was away, and I was thinking about, here I was looking at 500-year-old artwork, and I had my date with Michelangelo's David, and it was pretty fabulous to see just the excitement about something that with that age to it. And then I went to another part of another town and saw a very current contemporary piece, and not quite the same crowds, but I saw there was a lot of interest and a lot of activity around it, and it made me really appreciate like what we're doing here. Like we're creating that, for the future, for future generations. And it just, I don't know, you get inspired by that, but then you come home and you go, okay, now what can we do here? And likewise, I really appreciate all of you and like how we came together to, to look at that daunting task of the grants. And I thought that just went extremely well. I liked the diversity. I liked all the input of that. And then working on this project, again, what I like to see with everything going else out there in the world, that when the artists came together as a group, they were really there and supporting and helping each other and tips about everything. And just to see that kind of community support and pulling together, it's why we do this, right? And what we want the arts to bring humanity back together because it's a shared experience. So it was interesting to see that from that faraway perspective and a very at-home perspective, and both of them were just as moving to me. So I'm very excited about everything, the momentum that we're building. There's so many great opportunities we have, for events, and both like a three-dimensional form, and then all the kind of cultural events that we can do. So again, I'm really looking forward to and anticipating this is going to be a really great year for Cathedral City, that we're going to continue building our reputation. It's where art lives, baby, and where things happen that, affect so many different aspects of the community. So I'm just happy that, that to be a part of it and to share that and share that with the community. So
Chair Liebelt, there was one thing, I knew there was one thing I wanted to say. Just another art event that's going on this weekend. The Highway 62 Open Studios Arts Tours is going on. It'll be this Saturday. This is the second weekend, so this Saturday and Sunday, 188 artists, 133 studios. So I will be at some point cruising through there. Also, just again scoping out. Are there any good sculptors out there that, which I know there are.
Yep. Well,
One
and
more event too, Mr. Chair, before we go to Ocotillo Park on Saturday morning, Pancakes with the Firefighters.
Yes,
Starts at 8 o'clolock.
that's this weekend. Yep.
With the firefighters right
at the
here.
firehouse.
It's at the
That's a
main-
perfect way to start the day, right? Right. And I was also going to mention too, because we'll probably have a meeting before then, but then also the La Quinta Arts Festival is also coming up too. I want to say November 11th, 12th, 13th. It's that weekend of that. So, and I'll be helping them out over there with that as well. And I always look forward to that. I just think it's a really, again, to have that caliber of show in this valley, it's really extraordinary. And if you guys have never been, you really should go, because just I always say it's to be asked to be a judge at a show where all the quality is so good. It's like you're excited to go because you get to see some really good art. So I'm always happy to participate and do that with them over there. So
November 14th through 17th.
yep, yes. And then I think last year, there was a year, though, I always worry about them between the fall and the spring show because of the winds. There were days I've gone out there and they had to completely shut it down. There's been damage. There's been, bless their heart, and these artists still show up, to do that because it's just such a great show. But I always feel really, really bad when the weather doesn't cooperate. So
I'm sorry,
hopefully,
where is this show?
what's that?
Where is this show?
Downtown La Quinta. La Quinta Civic Park. It's considered one of the top 5 outdoor art in the United States. In terms of, and I've asked artists why they go, because it's one of their best shows.
Is that online somewhere?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do it, there's a fall version and there's a spring version. So now they're doing it twice a year.
Is it on the Discovery Cathedral City site?
It's not on our city site, but it's on, if you just look up La Quinta Arts Festival, it's called LaQuintaArtsCelebration.org.
And again, I would encourage people, like Commissioner Snyder, congrats on the show at the Galen. I'm really forward-looking, hopefully I'm going to try to make that. There's about 3 things happening that night for me. I'm just to see what's happening with that center and the quality of art and what they're building and evolving there too. And it's a really great thing to see and to watch and have that happen. And I keep hearing now about there's a couple of new galleries popping up and opening. And actually, there's a Brian Markey just moved his gallery from Palm Springs, and he's now here in the Cathedral City near La Perlita. And I think he's having an opening, not this weekend, I want to say the 19th. And I want to be very supportive of that because he's taken a risk by moving away from downtown Palm Springs, out here off the beaten path. And he has some really good artists there, and I really want to put him on everybody's radar and make sure that we're supporting him coming to Cathedral City. Yeah. Yes, a friend of mine's partner is asked to be I was asked to participate in this show, so I'm really looking forward to it. So, yeah. And on that note, I think we've got it for another day. I think we're going to draw another meeting to a close. And to all a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.